Hey guys, it's Robin. What's that all about? Today is actually a break. I'm taking a quick break from the July 26th excitement that's just sizzling out there in the ether. And I came across it. This was great. And I think it's just that I came across it because, I was looking for something a little different to just take my mind off of what's like coming next for disclosure. And two, because it just sort of sounded fun and light. And there's a lot swirling around me right now that I need a little fun and light. So this is about celebrity UFO encounters, which I only picked a few. There's a lot more. I mean, these ones that I have, I just thought were pretty interesting because I find the people interesting too a little bit. One of them, though, the first person, I didn't really recognize, but I still found his encounter to be kind of fascinating. And I hope you might find them fascinating too. And you probably know who all of them are. But I didn't. I'm old. I'm 48. I don't know who certain people are, but I'm pretty sure, like, regardless of who these people were, that extraterrestrials really could care less about celebrity and if someone's famous or not. I do not think that registers on their, let's examine the humans thing. I do wonder though, if because most of the people, actually all the people that I chose are artists of some sort, like musicians or musicians and actors, or just somehow they have some sort of artistic tendency. So I don't know if that would have something to do with it, but it's like reminiscent of like Anunnaki type stuff, because they were very focused on the arts and sciences and things like that. So I find it, I don't know, I found it kind of interesting. The parallels might have something to do with each other, but a lot of these experiences that happen to these celebrities, pseudo celebrities, whatever, happened even before they were children, or it was before like they really exploded or what have you. But you know, I do wonder if perhaps like extraterrestrials have that like foresight to see into maybe you know our alternate existences and space time dimensions and all that stuff, the parallels between different dimensions. Because of course, I believe in that. So I guess anything's possible. Let's see. We're having a disclosure hearing on UAPs. Anything's possible now. I'm totally convinced of it. So a lot of these celebrities claim to have seen UFOs, or actually even under meditation have communicated directly with them, or in some instances they have claimed abduction. So I mean that's a big one, and I think because they're of their status, perhaps it was more allowed because of eccentricities that someone might have or something, just as being part of the arts. But a lay person claiming an abduction experience, it's like, they're made to feel crazy. But if you're a person with some sort of stature or some sort of recognition, your story can be accepted easier. A little double standard there that I don't love, but I guess it's just the way that we were kind of engineered. I blame the aliens. So the first one I'm going to tell you about is Lupe Fiasco. I'm showing you a picture. He's a musician, and he's been very outspoken about his belief that he was abducted by aliens as a child. Now, he says that when he was 11 years old, he had an extra-worldly experience. And the source for this, a lot of these were Soft Rock 98.9, of all things. But anyway, he recalls his experience like this. Okay, I remember waking up and just being shocked, like I was surrounded by all this electricity. You're going to hear that again. So he felt like he was like just like vibrating. Okay. I was trying to call to wake up my cousin, roll out of bed, and I couldn't move. And then I was surrounded by this blue electricity. And then it stops. And I look out the window and I see a black disc flying down in front of the window. It sits there for a moment and then flies away. I mean, that's like a double do. Like, he remembers seeing a craft. A lot of abductees don't remember seeing or the details of anything, especially feeling that electricity or seeing a color of some kind. I thought that was great. So David Bowie, I'm sure that does not surprise you. He's a legendary musician, actor, writer, producer, all these great things. God rest his soul. And at one time, Bowie worked for an English UFO magazine. This was like back in, I think the interview that this was pulled from was 1975. And he had been talking about, I think it was 6 years even prior to that. So we're talking 1969. Okay. And he claims he got to, quote, I got to see flying saucers on a regular basis during this year with the magazine. He went on to say, I made sightings 6-7 times a night for about a year. Now, it shouldn't surprise any of us. Bowie always had talk about eccentricities, right? But he was I mean, I was glad to see that he was on the list. I didn't know. Here's the next one that I had no idea, but I'm pretty familiar with. His name's Matt Bellamy. Now, he's the frontman of the band Muse, and he claims to have had a strange alien encounter in the woods back in 2017. Quote, I saw this flashing light that was in the woodland. It was 1 a.m. What was it though? What it was though, I remember just waking up at home, and to this day, I don't quite remember the journey there. So, in other words, this is a missing time one that I thought was pretty interesting to include. And he doesn't remember any details of what the light looked like because he never got real close to it. But the fact that he saw this and then the next thing he remembers is being home. Now, he was like 3 hours, or not 3 hours, he was like a couple hours away from his home. I mean, he was on a back, in the woods. I think he was driving though, which happens a lot. A lot of people, I mean, go to Betty and Barney Hill, right? I mean, their abduction story starts in their car, traveling up in New Hampshire. It's all out there, man. Now, okay, this next one is interesting for a multitude of reasons, but this person is multi-layered. We'll just say I can't even call her it. Her name. Okay, let's just start with Demi Lovato. I know she identifies differently than the pronouns she. I don't want to insult anybody. I have a hard time getting those right, and it's not out of disrespect. It's just I don't remember how to like phrase it right. But anyway, musician, actor, multi-talented. In 2021, Demi came out with a documentary series on Peacock called Unidentified with Demi Lovato. Demi claims to have done a deep dive into the science of consciousness and experienced not only peace and serenity like never before, but also witnessed incredible sightings both in the sky and just steps away. What Demi claims is that there was communication between them, Demi and these extraterrestrials, like telepathically. So Demi would like people to stop calling them aliens also, because it's a derogatory term for any living creature. Demi refers to them as extraterrestrials. I still use aliens, extraterrestrials, beings, non-human intelligences. I use it all just because I don't know, it's kind of just rolls off my tongue, and it's been years. And since I'm having such a struggle with getting it right with Demi and her pronouns, I don't want to keep going. But fascinating stuff that happened. Next up, okay, this one won't surprise you at all, okay? Musician, UFO enthusiast, and disclosure advocate, also co-founder of To the Stars and To the Stars Academy, Tom DeLonge. I know I've already done a little bit of an episode on him already because he's just fascinating to me. He describes his intense extraterrestrial encounter that actually prompted his rigorous work with disclosure like this. My whole body felt like it had static electricity, just like Fiasco. Um, and he opened his eyes, and at the campfire, so he was clearly camping. This was in the midst of a conversation he was having on a podcast interview. So he talks about how the campfire is still going on out on the outside of the tent, and there's a conversation going on, and it sounded like there were about 20 people out there. He couldn't make out what they were saying though, but his mind instantly goes, okay, they're at the campsite. They're not here to hurt us. They're talking about they're talking shit. They're talking about shit, but I can't make out what they're saying, but they're working on something. Then I close my eyes and wake up, fire's out, and I have lost 3 hours of time. So again, we have an abduction with lost time. In this one, he had audio, like he heard what was going on, but he couldn't make out the words. I'm going to guess because it wasn't in English. But also the correlation with the electricity reference. I find that interesting. I have been asleep sometimes or kind of half asleep. And I have felt that I call it like a tingle, almost like again, I use the word vibration a lot because that's how it feels. I do not think I'm having an extraterrestrial experience that I know of. But, I mean, I guess it's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't think so. But I'm probably like the typical person who's in denial of it. This next one, I'm quite certain everyone's heard of. Nick Jonas, the actor in part of the musical band The Jonas Brothers. And I think he also has that band. I'm sorry, Cake by the Ocean is all that pops in my head. But he claims to have seen several. So this is an eyewitness account. He saw several flying saucers in the sky. He'd been in his backyard in LA. He looked up and there were 3 flying saucers. What makes his story strange is that there were 3 identical reports to his at the exact same time on the exact same day. Now, he had friends with him. He had like 4 other people that witnessed them too. So he had eyewitness 4 times over. So along with his firsthand sight of seeing the UFOs, he had friends to back him up, which I think is great. So he had his sighting. Now this one, I actually had heard about this, and she's a hoot. Fran Drescher from The Nanny, the actress, she claims that she and her ex-husband Peter Mark Jacobson had similar experience with aliens, despite not knowing each other at the time. Okay. She says, it's funny because Peter and I both saw aliens before we knew each other doing the same thing. We're driving on the road with our dads. And things got weirder from there. She goes on to say, we were both in junior high. A few years later, we met and we realized that we had the same experience. I think somehow we were programmed to meet. We both have this scar. It's the exact same scar on the exact same spot on their bodies, okay? I should note that Fran's ex-husband, Peter, does not agree with her theory. He thinks that the scar she has that coincides to his is just a childhood injury that she acquired at some point and just doesn't remember. But she says that that's exactly what the aliens program you to believe. And if you don't have that kind of consciousness that she does have, she really, she's put some serious effort into this. But she does think that that's where the chip is, that, where they can find her at any old time. So I'd be very curious to know what you think. There's others though, like William Shatner. There was a couple of others that were kind of a surprise, but now, of course, my brain is just tapioca. But I would love to know if you have any experiences yourself. I mean, if you've seen anything. I think I already told you this like months ago, but I'm out here in Idaho, and like there's only 500 people in my town. I live like rural as rural gets, and when I say big sky, I can't even tell you. I go out and I do have a GoPro, and eventually I will start. We have a little bit of smoke coming down from Canada right now, so it's a little smoky at night. But when it starts to clear out, I'm going to take some video because I've seen them twice now. I think I feel sometimes I have this like I'm kind of empathic, and I can sort of like pick up on things in the atmosphere sometimes, I think. And I mean, I'm not psychotic or anything, but I do think that I can kind of pick up on stuff, and I feel like they're like kind of always around. But I think they only watch us, honestly. If they're watching us, it's to amuse themselves or something, not to do anything specific to hurt us or anything like that. But yeah, I would love to know if you have any stories for yourself. And until next time, I hope you are staying happy and healthy, and stay weird. And take care. Bye.